The new Astro Cities have arrived. It took a few months because it was coming from China, but they are finally here. These sticks feel okay, but I'm probably gonna replace them. These buttons don't feel great, so I'm gonna replace them. For the most part, they seem to be in pretty good shape. They're just a little dirty, so I'm gonna have to go clean them. And replace the buttons and the sticks. The only thing I noticed about this one is that it seems to be a little dent here, which unfortunately, what are you gonna do about that? It's the way it is with these things. I'll be hooking these up later to see that make sure that they're working okay, and then hopefully I can hook it up with my head harness, and we'll see if we can get that going. I hooked it up, but as you can see, one of the machines is upside down. I think it's probably some configuration that I gotta fix. Nevertheless, both machines are hooked up right now. I need to get some more kick harnesses to hook up the buttons properly. We're getting there. I got the image rotator now, so I actually had to cut the back yoke plug because it was a 4-pin plug and it only fits in one way, so I had to cut it in half and then flip the two plugs in, and now I plugged them in reverse and the image is now correct. So got that done. I went and took out the joysticks and the buttons that came with the machines. They were kind of generic buttons, they weren't great, and joysticks were kind of generic too, so I ordered some buttons that I like, and just to vary up, to change up the colors a little bit. So I'll put them in when they get here. This will also make it easier to clean when I'm ready to clean it. The Astro Cities didn't have stereo audio, so I decided that I was gonna get this set of used computer speakers. These are actually pretty powerful, like 200 watts computer speakers. So I got them used, no big deal. And I'm plugging it in right now just to test it out with my computer. Running off of Groovy Arcade, and it's sounding pretty good. I keep the volume pretty low right now, but I can turn it even higher. So I've taken out the two power supplies from each of the machines. They're apparently not exactly even the same model, but I guess they work. I'll probably take these apart and then clean out the insides of them. I don't know if I'll recap them. We'll take a look at what we see when we open them up. But I definitely want to at least clean these out, so we'll get around to doing that. I managed to get this power supply open. It was very tricky to get it open. So apparently this thing on top, you see, this is on top of here. It's only this model, because the other model is different. I'm not sure how that one opens, but you're supposed to pull this out, and then it has some pins here that connects in here. Then you can just take the thing out, but I had to finagle it a little bit, and hopefully I didn't mess anything up to get it out. As you can see, the board is extremely dirty. So I'm gonna clean this up, and then I'm debating on whether I want to recap this or not. There's not that many caps, and I think it's pretty cheap to recap it, so maybe I'll just do it since I have it open anyways. Inside of this one is a little bit different than the other one. It's actually hooked in and wired in. I can't remove this piece without desoldering the wires connected to it. Or I can just disconnect this one with the other one, then I'll have to somehow get rid of it, unhook that, but I don't think I even need to do that. I'm just gonna clean it from here, which is fine. I just have to clip this little plastic tie here, then I can just remove this, then I can clean the rest of this, and I can recap this if I need to. Alright, and the second one is also clean. I took out the side heatsink here. Clean that up a little better. I want to take this heatsink off, but I can't really do that unless I get this big one, capacitor, taken off first so I can access the screw. So maybe we'll do that later when we recap this thing. I have to get the right kind of capacitor kit though, because the ones on the website are a slightly different model. I gotta make sure they're exactly right capacitors, so before I do that, I don't want to make any mistakes. Like with the last machine, I had to repurchase more capacitors. So everything looks pretty clean here. I started recapping this. The cap kits have arrived from arcadeparts.com. The guy was actually nice enough to give me an extra capacitor that I was missing, because the model number didn't exactly match, but this one it seemed okay. But the other one I was missing another small one, but they were nice enough to give me the one that I needed for free. So I started recapping this one so far. You see I got 3 done so far. 1, 2, 3 over here. And I got the rest of these go. Alright, now we're all done. All the capacitors replaced. I even applied some new thermal paste for the heat sinks over here. Alright, we hit a little bit of a snag. This capacitor I replaced here is actually bigger than the original one, so it's sitting a little higher. So when I try to put this top mounting piece in there, the sound card, it actually gets, you can't put it all the way down because that capacitor is blocking this piece right here. So this piece is blocking on the capacitor because it's too tall. Luckily, I actually have another separate capacitor sitting around, so I'm just going to replace it with this one and have longer leads and bend it over a little bit so it sits on the side. Hopefully that'll do it. I just put it back in real quick just to test out, make sure everything still works, make sure the power comes on. Looks like we got power though. So it's working. That's always the scariest part, when you're putting it back in and just praying that you didn't mess something up and it doesn't turn on, and then you're screwed. You gotta go track down what you did wrong. I've taken both the monitors out, the cases now, so I'll just wash these out later. So when I was working with it, unfortunately this monitor over here, it just all of a sudden died on me for whatever reason. I don't know why. I was trying the new PSU that I recapped, and it was working for a few minutes, and I was pretty happy. I thought it was all working. I was getting images and it was on, and all of a sudden it shut off and then it won't come back on anymore. I don't know how the PSU would cause that. I've been asking around and they said the monitor just runs off of the AC pass-through from the PSU. And so I don't know. I'm gonna have to try to figure it out. Hopefully the chassis didn't die on the monitor. If so, I'm gonna have to send it in and get it fixed again, which will be a huge pain in the ass. But we'll see how that goes. I went ahead and unscrewed the front panel here. There's just 4 screws here. 5 screws. Since undo them, you can just take the front panel off to make easier cleaning of the whole thing. Also, I took the front panel from the monitor off to get the monitor off. There's just 3 screws here. In the back, you undo the back, you just pull it right out. It's actually much easier to take this thing apart than the Blast City. I'll move this to the back and then wash them after I remove the front panel from this machine too. This machine was missing a little stabilizer here. I went to Amazon and bought some replacement stabilizers for tables. So it worked pretty well. Alright, the new feet are in place. Versus this old one you got over here, like pulling it apart. So I took all the pieces completely apart, just kind of once over with the simple green and water. They were actually already pretty clean. I think the refurbished models were fairly clean, so maybe I didn't even have to do this. But I feel like I'm taking it apart, might as well just do it. So I'm letting them dry out here, and then I'll put it back together again. Finish cleaning them, rinse them down, we'll let them dry, and then we put them back together. They're already actually pretty clean. Just inside were kind of dirty, so I rinsed it out completely. Now they're super clean. After I got everything working, I found out that the coin counter thing wasn't actually registering. I would hit the coins and no coins would actually register on the game. I thought maybe the coin counter mechanism was busted, but turns out that's probably not it, because then I did the trace with the cables and it turned out the ground cable wasn't actually reaching the JAMA end of the ground. I took this whole coin bucket thing apart because there was actually another switch here attached to this, which is the coin counter. So I finally deduced that the coin counter is broken. Whatever's in here is broken. There's a connection, the ground is not passing through. Because the ground wire is supposed to pass through from the coin slot down to the JAMA, and it's not getting passed through the ground signal. So something's wrong here. I don't really care about the coin counter working, and I tried to get this thing open. I have no idea how to get this thing out. There's no screws or anything, and it wouldn't budge. I don't want to break it, so I'm just going to leave it. I'm just going to do this ghetto hack way of fixing it by just using this paper coat that I've been using. Just shorting out the ground so the ground's connecting, and that should fix everything. So I'm gonna put this together and see if it works. Test it out now. Good connectivity now. Because before that wasn't making any buzzing. Now it's connected. Now we're good. All right. Now, moment of truth. Time to test out the money button. Yes. This thing is kind of stuck, but it's working. Yes. We have coins. Coins are working. We can play games now. Yes. This machine's finally done. Now we just have to wait for this monitor to be fixed. Put in the new controls for this. Power supply back in and hook everything up, and then we'll be ready to go with our head-to-head setup, baby. Alright. I finally got the second monitor fixed and chassis came back. I put it back in the machine now and hopefully it'll boot up and works just fine. One thing I like to highlight is that I put in, I'm not sure if you can see it, there's not much light, but I put in these soft acoustic foams inside of the machines, because I noticed that the CRT monitors are making a high buzz noise, and I think putting these in there will actually absorb some of the high frequency noises, so we won't hear that high pitch so much. You can't really hear it when you're playing because the game noise is really loud, but it's still kind of annoying if you kind of hear the high pitch noise, so hopefully this will dampen the noises. These are the type of acoustic foams I've been talking about. Generally you put them on walls to dampen the noise when you want to record stuff, but I put them inside of the cabs to reduce some of the noise coming from the cab. All hooked up, fired up. Looks like it's working so far. I need to readjust the image on this one a little bit. That's take like 2 seconds. I haven't put the last joystick in here because I screwed up taking off the metal mount for the Soundline JLF, and now the screws are stuck and I gotta figure out how to get that mount, the metal mount off so I can put it back in. But mostly I'll be using this one for P2 and this one for P1. The other two I'm gonna rig up for P3 and P4 for 4-player games. I'll get a video of that when I get that running. But that'll be running on my machine here for the Groovy main, the Groovy arcade, instead of back to CPS2. So there you have it. I think it's all done. I put the speakers, computer speakers on top. Final setup is complete. Head-to-head connected. Got the sound going, the lights, the buttons. Second player. The ultimate setup. It's complete. I might put some neon signs up here. But this is it. This is it, guys. Head setup, Astro Cities.